Yobe is a software company that takes a more intelligent and human approach to the cocktail party problem. Similar to the human auditory system's ability to focus and track voice, Yobe uses artificial intelligence to extract metadata, things like direction, gender, emotion, even biometrics for identification, all from a voice signal, specifically in high noise environments where these things are traditionally difficult for off-the-shelf technologies. Well, initially in the beginning, it was difficult. We're a pretty heavy science-based company, so we didn't have an MVP or a demo that we could show in the early years. And I was self-funding the company out of my savings at the time. It took us a while to find an angel investor, Frank, to come in who believed in the vision. It took him all of 20 minutes to make a decision to write a check. But that allowed us to get the software tools that we needed. Big shout out to the guys over at MathWorks. We use MATLAB as a foundation, and they were great partners, gave us some startup pricing that allowed us to really develop our algorithms in a way that we can demonstrate our effectiveness in our way of tracking voice in those noisy environments, which led to a National Science Foundation grant where we were able to fund some research, quantifying the benefit of our solution in front of these other technologies like speaker recognition and speech recognition, which led to our first institutional raise where we were able to, basically partner with a venture capital group that was really focused on edge AI / acoustic type of solutions. So it was a great fit for what we were doing as a company. So, for us initially, and I would assume that we're not different than most startups, getting that first proof of concept, getting that first batch of product out the door was the biggest challenge that we had, and we just didn't have the network at the beginning. Friends and family network wasn't there from a financial standpoint to help us get over that hurdle, where an angel investor came in and gave us the liquidity that we needed to actually firm that up. Well, I don't know if our company is critical to representation. I will say that it would have been extremely helpful for me personally, from the environment I grew up in, to have examples of people that look like me, came from a similar type of background, in roles similar to the roles I'm in now. So from that standpoint, I'm cognizant of the value of representation from that standpoint. As far as leadership, there is an interesting thing happening right now in the voice marketplace. There's I guess a renaissance of opportunity for companies like ours that have an opinion, not just about how to solve some of the challenges associated with the technology part of it, but also the future of where we see voice taking hold in our marketplace. It is one of those environments where thought leadership is something that we spend a lot of time on, because we have an opinion on not just the science, but we have an opinion on commercialization and the opportunities for voice in everyday environments. A scholarship is not that bad of a deal. You might want to take it versus spending 4 years jumping out of airplanes and walking through jungles. However, that did work out pretty well for me. So, but I would have probably told the 18-year-old guy to pay a little more attention to that. That might be a better route. My organization is looking to change the way you view voice in everyday environments. More importantly, expectations, like what should you expect from your voice solution? And a lot of that comes from the background of our science and some of the nuances that we bring to the table from having access to the metadata, things like intent, emotion. And so how should the conversation piece or conversation be with a device if it has context and it has some of this information that we have as humans that it doesn't have as a device? So we want to change really the way that we see the interface, the voice interface that is, permeating just our day-to-day activity. Simple things like making a cup of coffee, getting in your car, driving to work, dictating to a device, or even, how do you get into your home or to a locked environment? These are all areas that we think we want to basically start to influence as a company. I've been fortunate to have a few good mentors across my career. So gotten a lot of good advice. But what's relevant to, I guess, this conversation is I was told while raising capital that I should go out to market, I should ask for advice when raising money. Because if I ask for advice, I'll get connected to money. But if I ask for money, I'll get a lot of advice. Speaking from specifically an industry standpoint, I don't know if people realize how sticky and how natural voice communication really is. I think we're starting to see some evidence of that with new platforms that are voice-centric that are starting to really scale. But the fundamental thing around voice is the only reason why we have a keyboard on our computer is because we can't speak to it. So what happens once we actually master this modality? We master the ability for us to deal with the environmental challenges, pull out things like intent and emotion and some of the other metadata that's captured in voice and relay that to our devices and to our platforms. That opens up a whole new world of opportunities, I think, from a user interface. And there's some environments where I think that the keyboard is going to stay and it's going to be a focal point. But there are some areas, like driving, for instance, where you should not be using your hands for anything else other than that activity. So I think that I would like the market to really realize that the voice genie is out the bottle. The next iteration of this from a future standpoint is a lot of connectivity and a lot of interface just using our voice.